from I Show You. And all right, good evening, class. So today lecture 6, and we're going to cover some topics on the views and view controller transitions. So basically, so far what we've been doing is that we put all the view logic in a place. What's the place that contain view logic in our iOS projects? Are you in? So what's going on? Okay, so where do you put your view code? View controller. Okay, so what happens when we just have a very complicated view, right? You will start to realize that the view controller just has way too much logic in there. The view controller is in charge of the screen that you are looking at. What's the question? When I asked, you didn't say, or did you just arrive? Or are you in now? Okay. Well, let's make sure everyone's in first. So today, we'll look at custom views. Has anyone made a custom view before? Yeah, that's a good question, right? A custom view here, if you create a UI view file. No? So far when you create a file, you have a new controller, right? UI view controller, or UI table view cell, or a model file. We haven't done anything else, right? Cool. So sometimes on a screen, we have many types of view. And like you see the table view is only maybe half of your screen. And then you have a view up here with your profile picture and information, just like on the homepage of your Facebook page, right? You have the background, cover background. So what if this whole cover background, including your profile picture, cover background, and your name, that is one view. So we can create a custom view. We call it the user profile view, and you can use it in your code. Now, you have to add the view by the code in the in Xcode. Programmatically, you can't drag that custom view over to your storyboard, right? But it will clean up the view a lot. So some of the reasons here, that's the standard reasons why you want to overwrite a view. So if you want to draw something, if you want to draw a line that it's harder to do with the view label, right? No, not view component. How do you draw a line on Xcode? Does anyone know? Okay. Yeah, create a view with high1, right? And set the color, right? So today we learn how to do that with core graphics. And then sometimes you put all the logic in one view, how you interact with the gesture, that's better, okay? So let's try that. And before we go into overriding a view, we'll just look at drawing, right? When you have your own view, you create a new UI view subclass. And so we have to tell Xcode how we want to draw the project. You draw the view. Has anyone done drawing in your applications? No. So like, have you done drawing in anywhere, like Android, web, JavaScript? So drawing always involves, first you have a context, right? Last time we learned SQL, the core data stuff. Context is an English word for just, it's a big thing that just remember everything else. So it's like a background, right? The context here is, it's the environment. So here, getting the context in drawing basically will give me this board for me to draw on. what do you have so far? What do you have on it? Color, everything. So get the context, and basically we put the pen down to draw. So the status is always it's either the pen is down or not. And when the pen is down, you can move to another location, right? From one point to another. When you move, what happened? When you move the pen from point A to point B, what happened? You draw a line. So you can tell it to draw in a different shape, right? And then you set the colors and everything else. So let's do a live demo right now. I'm going to create a new project. So I'll call this view demo. All right. Can everyone see my Xcode okay? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to create a custom view file. And does anyone know how to create one with from here? So we'll just go with the standard Cocoa Touch class, right? So this time I'm going to call it maybe custom view, and actually let's do this progress view and subclass view. That's okay so far, right? So the first thing we're going to learn here is that when you override, when you subclass a UI view, the only function you need to care about now here is draw rect. It's cool, huh? So basically, we tell Xcode how to draw. Right now, if we want to draw a progress bar, let's do what you said there, you know, but by core graphics. Okay. So what you said about like creating a line with view, with this method you can set shadow and many other things. So now the code for that is a little complicated. So I'll copy and paste right here. But we can easily, you know, digest through it together. Okay, so I first grab the context, right? Get the current context. So that's obvious, you know. And well, here you already know, set the color. And this color, what is this color? Red? Awesome. Okay, so set the line color, right, to red. And here's, before you draw anything, you pretty much just do a begin, and then you move the point. The pen is still up. The pen's not down yet, right? And then you look up for what drawing feature you want to use. So here I have add line. And the code over here is actually, if I want to draw it for the width of my screen, I will, basically this view draw rect function, right, takes a rect object, right? That rect object has the width, x, y, and width, height. So we're just saying, hey, draw from 0 to 0, no, 0, 0 to where? 0 and to width of the view, right? So maybe we can imagine what it looks like already. How do I put this view on the... Okay, yes, that's the view. How do we do that? Go here, right? So how do we put it on the screen? Var, well, I'll just let progress bar, right, equals what? Equals what? Wait, why do you have that? Oh, it's okay. So progress view dot. So I have that. So how do I add the view in? View add subview. So we should call this progress view, right? It's probably easier to call it progress view. All right. So how do we, do you think this works yet? Let's try it, right? I might want to turn off auto layout right now it's on iPhone 6. All right, where's my line? Hmm? Yes? We need to set a view, but yes. So remember, actually, we need to tell the, I did what I did here, progress view right now, it's in space. It doesn't have the frame, right? So I need to set the frame of this guy, yeah? So remember, if we go into um, this one, UI view function, there is an init function that we didn't see, right? So if we look at this init, wait, why did it not autocomplete for me? Init, right? This one. You see this one? So when I init progress view, I need to pass in the frame, right? So let's do that. Go back to view controller. Let's pass in the frame. And what should the frame be? It's a rect, right? CG rect. We'll put it in a position like so it's easy to see on the screen, like 10 to the left and 100 to the right, and then let's put some width on it. We can here you can set width to the whole thing, but let's maybe like 300 pixel, and height to make it easier to see, maybe put 2 on it. So now, what's wrong here? Missing parentheses. All right. So we have this view. Okay. I'm gonna make the phone a little smaller, or change it to 5S. Well, now what we want is to animate this view. We're going to set the drawing to do the line to go from 0 to 100%. Anyone, does anyone have any idea where we start from there? So we want to do it, constantly update the view with the different width. So we do that by using the timer. So I'll call schedule timer and first we'll try to draw it really fast. Right? We'll call this function fast, and the drawing is up to Xcode. Right? It's up to the iPhone refresh frame rate, right? But now here, target itself, we'll call this on timer method, and we don't need anything here. Repeat, should it be true or false? It's true because we want it to run again and again, right? So now let's define on timer. It takes a timer object, and now we have to have an idea of a progress. So I'm going to define a progress variable right up here, right? So let's see, initially our progress is 0. So up here, progress, let's increase it a little bit each time, maybe 0.1. And we're going to just print out, progress, right? And what happens when we get to 100%? We should stop, yeah, we should stop the timer. How do we, so if it's greater than 1, then let's just stop it, right? So we can call this timer a stop. So the call is invalidate. And what I really want here is to draw, right, the progress bar, okay? But let's just see if this code works or not. All right, you see the console output, right? We're getting to 1 and we stop. So now, can someone guess what we're doing over here with the progress? We'll assign it to a variable, right? Right? And then maybe we have to go there and define that variable. So progress, it's a float. If you put 0, it's not clear that's a float, right? And down here, I'm going to multiply this by the percentage, 0 0.01, 0 0.02 until 1. So the percentage here will be what times progress, right? And then if it complains, what do? We need to cast it, right? So you can, this is just backward compatibility with Objective-C there. All right, so go back to the view, and I'm setting the progress view. Now I need to access the progress view, right? So now this has to be a variable. Whoops. All right, now, do you think this will work yet? Yes? So it still doesn't work yet, because we need to tell the view to update. So this is, the view is dirty, okay? So there's a function. When you make changes, right, you call this set needs display, so that when next time your iPhone renders the screen, it say, oh, I have to update progress view, right? So let's try that. You guys see anything interesting there? Do you see any changes? Actually, there are changes, but it was just really, really minor. I'm gonna try again, okay? Like, try to really stare into the screen to see if you can find it. Do you see that? Huh? What's that? Right. Let's make it bigger, right? And you can just let me know to do it, okay? So can you use TeamViewer to see it? I want to see how people see it. Okay. So now, so it's hard to see this one. This is a problem with TeamViewer now. It's a little small, so I'll slow it down as well. So just remind me, okay? So right now it already works. So I'm going to try it again. Okay, hopefully you can see it. It's really slow. It's really hard to see. So I'll go back to the view. I'll make this line a lot bigger. So I'm drawing by this stroke, right? And we need to set this line is like just 1 pixel. That's why it's very hard to see. I'm not sure how I'm gonna make it bigger yet. Move. I'm going to move again, and I draw 2 lines basically. So I move to point, go down 1 point. So this is 0, 0 is within this frame, right? I'm going to draw 2 lines, 1 line and 2 lines. That's all. So you have 2 pixels. It's easier to see. But how do we do it? Move to point 0, 1 or 1, 0? 0, 1, yes. And so it's the same, right? That should be okay, right? All right, hopefully this time we have 2 lines. And notice we're drawing the red line. Okay, so connection's lost. Can you guys see the red color? Well, it works now, right? Okay, so what happens to the black color? Why is there a black there? Yeah, they're, come again? Yeah, actually, so the rectangle that we give in has a black color because the default color is black. So sometimes when you have some bug in your code that basically go to the wrong place and remove view like invalidly, you actually get a black screen. So it's like, so that we need to set this background color. All right, let's set it to white. Okay. All right, let's see again. Oh my God, let's see if this, it works, right? Who can't see it? Who cannot see it? Okay, so it works there. We learned the first part, basically how to draw using the core graphics utilities in Progress View. And we learned how to use set needs display after you draw it. Well, so sometimes if so I have a Progress View library now. If someone used my Progress View and he set the progress to 50%, right? And he forgets to call set display, right? That's not very good. We should do it automatically. How do we do it? So we use an observer, right? So it's in did set. Just really quickly, how do we do it? Go to line 12 here. After you set it, we will say set needs display here, right? Is that clear? Okay. So I don't have to run that. We'll go back to this this slide on UI view. All right. Okay, so we just created a custom UI view. So sometimes a custom UI view also go together with a custom zip file. You know the storyboard? That's through the interface builder. Now we want to create something similar to a storyboard. It's called an XIB file. It's a zip file, right? How do I do that? Go to new, user interface, okay? And I can choose one of these guys, storyboard or view or empty. So I'll choose empty first. So custom empty. All right, I'll call this. Now, can anyone guess what type of file this is? What type of file is this XIB file? XML file. How do we see it? Open as source code. So right now, you see that the root node is document. All of them are like that. So it say, you know, this is XML using the syntax from interface builder, Cocoa, Touch, XIB, right? The only interesting thing that you want to look in this file are those in objects. So right now, you only have the two guys, two identifier, files owner and first responder. So this is a custom empty file, right? Custom zip file. Now, if I go to this file again, I'm going to add a view to it. Okay, how do I view it? With the interface builder, it has nothing, right? So we want to add something to it. So I'll call it. Maybe I'll add a UI view to it. Is view anywhere? Or I'll just put a label on it. All right. So now I have a label. And if I right-click on this file again, what do we see? We see a third object, right? That is a label. And now when Xcode behaves funnily, you can actually read here and really, you know, you can guess what's going on. So here you can see the frame, right? It's very easy to see. Go in there. Oh, the rect. Oh, from 00 to 232 to and 190. So what's interesting here is that I can have unlike storyboard where you have a view controller box, here I can have more than one. So let's do that. I create a view, another one. I'll add a UI view. And one more guy here. Okay. Well, this view now is square. It looks like a screen. So that's probably better. Does anyone know how to resize it? So on the right hand side, if I click on this view, under size, it say inferred. So you can set it to your preferred size. So I can do freeform, and I'll resize this. All right, let's set a color to it. And this label is going to be I am here, right? All right, so let's try to figure out how to use this zip file. We don't have a UI view. Here we just have a view file. So we're going to call this from controller. Let's comment out this code up here. Actually, I'll keep it. I need to add custom empty to it, right? Add view from custom empty. So to do it, we'll take the nib out, UI nib, and over here it say nib name. What is our nib name? Okay, so what's the difference between nib and zip? So nib is the binary version. So zip is the XML code, like when you compile a zip, you get a nib, right? So machine to the machine right now, the machine just reading the compiled version of the nib. So that's why it's called a nib, but we don't need to put anything in the bundle here. And now with that, we need to read this XML structure. And it provides us a function called instantiate with owner. I'll just put this to nil for now. And this is always nil. I don't know if, what happens if you don't put nil in there. So let's try to see what we have in here. What do you think we have in objects? Yeah, it's a label. So let's the label and the view that we added. If we look into the XML file, right? One more time, look into the XML. We have the label and the view. So placeholder are not loaded, right? Placeholder you can just ignore. So with these two guys, we're adding it in, but they don't know where to stand yet. So we need to tell them, position them in the view. All right. So let's see. We got view one is objects. The first one, of course, if you like, you can do that as UI view. And we'll set the coordinate origin dot y. That's just maybe like 100, right? And view, the default is actually 0, right? So you just put 100 here. Hello, come on in. Does it give me second? No. So I have the second one here as UI view. Okay, so you can share a computer. Okay, that's fine. All right. I have the second view, and let's set the coordinates for it. Dot frame, dot origin. I'll just add an extra maybe 300 to it. So I'm just adding it to push it down so we can see on the screen. What else do we need to do? I think that now we need them to add them to the view, right? Okay, any question? So when you put in the origin.y is 0. I just add 300 to push it down on the screen. Because right now on our screen we have the progress bar, and then the label, and then the view, right? Hopefully that's the case. We're there, right? That's pretty cool. Now, how do we change the text in I am here to something else? Yeah, this UI label, right? Of course, you can do it as view one. What now? It's going to be a problem, right? So how do we do it? View one as UI label. So is it a UI label? Yeah. So the normal way of creating outlet, we can try to do that here. So to create an outlet, we have to look at this files owner guy, and we have to assign it to a UI view file. So if I create a UI view dot Swift, right? You can do it with the view. So no, this is not view controller. It's a view, UI view. So, but we'll get there when we create the UI view for this object. All right. So on the lecture page, I have a link here. I'll walk through it with you guys. How to create a custom view, right? Let's follow it before we do it. So item 1 is to create a view, which we just did, and we understand the structure now of the XML file. Item 2 is to create a UI view, and then you match the two guys together, right? So item 3 here, step 3 here is to set that UI view to match the file's owners, like match the zip file with the UI view. Remember, we only had this done for us automatically in a view controller, right? When you create a new view controller, did you notice? Let's try. I'm going to create one view controller. Let's click here. New file. Source. All right. I'm going to create a new UI view controller. Do you see what happened? I call this like first view controller. Do you see what happens? You have this checkbox, right? So if we check it, you see that we have the view controller .swift, and we have the zip file, and they already matched for us, right? And you can open this source code of the view controller, and to see again, it's very similar. The Swift file just the zip file is just that you have one object. That's not the placeholder, right? One placeholder for files owner, one placeholder for first responder, and then you have the view element here. Okay, so because with the controller, it does it for us, so we can drag from left to right. So let's look at the zip file right now. If I open it in Interface Builder, I can click on this intersection thing, right? I don't know what this button is called. And it takes me to the view controller. I can put a label on, and I can drag it over. But to do this with so it will be, my label. So we already know that. We can create one view for each controller. But what we want is to create custom view without using controller, right? So go back to custom zip here. To do this, we are going to create a file named, can we guess the name? Okay. Yeah, that's such a terrible name, right? Custom empty. It's not even empty. So custom empty, and what class should it be? UI view, right? So in this case, you actually don't need to, let me turn off the, right? And we can go to custom zip and drag the, set the files owner to a class that we create. What did we create? Custom empty, right? And now you are able to, if we're lucky, right? You're able to get that right here. So let's do it. Maybe I drag this label. It's a label, so I'll call this I label, right? And let's go back to the view controller, and we're going to set this over here. View1 dot. How do I change the I am here text? How do I change it? You can cast it differently, right? You can cast this first one to the file's owner. Yeah. Yeah, just it tells the XML file what Swift class it belongs to. Yeah, so here's when it gets a little confusing, right? Like, oh, well, which one is it? So normally you only have one, right? And we only instantiate the objects. We put this logic into the custom empty file itself. So we're going to do that next. But let's pretend, before we get to that step, right? We keep thinking about how we set this label. So what I want here, I'm going to comment these guys out. What I want is, I don't want to call UI nip here. I want to call, because I want to call the custom nip view, and so I can add the view, right? So let custom view equal custom empty, right? It's such a terrible name, but that's it. And then you just add that view. Custom view. Does it make sense? Does it make sense that basically UI view is just a view? The custom empty file right now, it is responsible for its content. So from view controller, I say, hey, custom empty, give me the view, and I'll just insert you in. Any questions there? Yeah, good. So how does it know, right? So that's what we have to do next. So I'm at the controller level. You have any question? You can ask. Oh, you can ask directly. Like, it's very confusing.
You can set the file owner to the view controller instead of the UI view, and connect the outlet so directly from the SIP to the view controller.
Right. So that's a good question, right? No, but the step one is that you can do that. Okay. But we're doing what's harder here is what's better here is that we're connecting it with the UI view. But when we do that, we have to do more work. That's the point of the lecture today, is to do the custom. Right. So did anyone understand Joe's point? When we set the file's owner, if we set the file's owner to the view controller, then it automatically understands it. We're good. Right? But if you don't, then we have to fill in the code that I'm going to show you now. So, but before I show it, I'm just showing you the view controller code. It's really simple, right? New custom empty, and then we just add it to subview. So if you package this as a library, you only have the view file and the zip file. All right, let's look at the. You can refer to the website next. Are we on the website? So that's step 3. Step 3 is to bind, right? To set the file's owner to the same name. That's the Swift file, the UI view. Right? Now step 4, we just did that. We connected the outlet. Right? There is, and I'm going to explain step 5. Right? Step 4, we connected the outlet, but we need to do more stuff. If you look at this screen, you look at it, you see a function called init subviews. You see it on the screenshot. You guys see the init subview here, like where my mouse is right now. Yeah, we have to implement that function. Basically, in this init, let's implement this guy. So we have 2 init function, right? Let's go back real quick, right? Yes? Question? So here is where we do that nip thing. So nip, we tell it, so I just had a question. How does it know, right? Because we tell it in this custom empty class that, hey, give me get the data from the nip file, custom empty file, right? And it's the same code we had before, right? Now, what we normally do just now is with what we did earlier is with objects here. But most of the time we only have one object. And so I'm going to keep only one, but I'm gonna work on move the label down inside this guy. So actually, can I just copy and paste this guy in? Actually, it probably doesn't work. I want to move it in there. Because, right, the view file, you get the size and everything, and that's the container. And you want to bind the container. This one, you're going to call it container view. And that allows us to, well, we get the objects, so instantiate with owner, and now we assign it to this guy. So we call it self over here. If you assign it to the controller, then when you call in the controller, self goes to the controller. But here self go to this UI view, right? And now we have to basically set container view where to go. So we set the frame. So can someone guess what frame we give the container view? This UI view has a frame. And then container view is in it. So you want to set it the same as the parent. So what is it? X is 0, Y is 0. What else? Width is frame dot what? Size dot width, and height is frame dot size dot height. And then what do we do next with this container view guy? Add subview container view. See, because I only have one object, I don't have to do let objects over here, right? It's the same. If you get this object and you just add subview 1, f subview 2 like before, right? But I don't want to do that. I just create an outlet. You only these objects to understand that you have objects. If I do just let objects here, you know, right? So technically in here, objects is just a list of container view, right? Earlier we had a label, but now we just have that. Do we agree? We agree, right? So when we now, because we have an outlet, we can call the container view directly, and we set the frame. an easier way to do here is to do container view dot frame equals the parent, and that's just called equals bounds. So bounds give you that rectangular, right? In the rectangle. Okay, I don't need objects here, so let's just, I can just leave it there. Now, we have an error. Can someone guess what error is? Okay, yes. All right, and then we have another error. It say, well, you tell me how to do it from a frame. You also have to tell me how to do it from data. Remember, we learned archiving? So and how do we do it here? Maybe we can do something similar, right? So what is missing is, well, we say, it's nothing special really. Call the same guy again, and then we have to call the same code above. So I'm going to make a init subviews, right? Load the subviews from the XML file, blah blah. And here is when init subview. I can't get the mouse. Okay, we do that, right? Copy and paste it down here. And in this init, it's the same thing. We call super init with the same frame, right? And init subview. Okay. So if I'm lucky, this will compile. And right, what's going on there? Where's my green rectangle? Let's go back to view controller. Yes, sorry? Did someone say something? I need to set the frame for it. Yeah, so we didn't set the frame here, but all I care about is the container view. Everything else inside it. So here, I think, so we have the UI view, custom UI view, right? We call it custom empty. And then we add the subview in. Now let's look at custom empty zip file, right? Where is it? Okay. Let's try to troubleshoot why the color is not there. This container view, where's the color? All right, color is there, and I'm just gonna change it to a different color. Just blue. All right, I'm going to try again. Let's try to imagine where the coordinates are. I add this right now, it's at the top. But I don't have a color. It's really strange. So I'm not sure why that is actually. If I change, maybe if I change the color, I'll try this label guy. How do I lock the bounds? Huh? Okay, print it, log it. Okay. So, but if you look at this simulator right now, that rectangle is there, no? Only the height. I insert it at 0. So okay, so let's print the bounds. Where do I do it? In custom file, right? Whoops. Sorry guys, my computer is really slow right now. Handling. Okay. So we want to print this out. All right. So how do I log this bounds? Like that. Okay, that's not very fun, huh? We couldn't. need to print it, but I think it print too. Okay, bounce. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, so what happens is, but why is the label there? Thank you. Yes, exactly. So in the view controller, I actually have to tell this guy the frame, right? So you do here custom view, you actually want to set the frame here. And we do it similar to above. You can actually set the frame here, right? Can I do that? And the view this we need the view of this main view of the controller. So okay. So hopefully now if I print the bound, yeah, perfect. We have the whole thing, right? Okay. So that's it for custom view. We're going to move on to custom transition. Who here has created a custom transition before, like view controller transition? Huh? CA transition. Oh, we did that. So CA transform, right? Yeah. So that's core animations. We're going to use that now. So let's go to the storyboard. And I'm going to turn off auto layout for this view controller. Actually, before I do that, I just review one more thing with the instantiate with view with owner line over here. So are we all looking at my view controller file? Remember I did this earlier? You guys remember I did this earlier? Let objects equal nib.instantiate with owner, and I passed nil. Because when you pass nil, you can't do any outlets, right? It doesn't know who to talk to. So here, if you pass self, and you pass self here, like objects pass self here, and in your custom empty zip file, you tell it where that self is. I click on files owner, and this one, I can actually take it to view controller. Because earlier my self was view controller, right? So that allows you to drag your outlet from here to the view controller. Does it make sense? With this UI view. So it's up to you if your element is simple enough and you don't want a custom empty.swift. All you need is your .xib file and your controller. You can also do it. That makes sense, right? Now what happens after I rename the outlet? We did this before. So if I rename it right now, I'm going to put it back to not this view controller, but custom empty. But if I rename my outlet, how do I do that? Rename it here. Remember, we have two outlets. If I rename this to I label to U label, remember, I think we run into this problem before, right? What happens? It will crash, right? And what's the error? This class is not key value coding compliant. So that's kind of hard to understand what it's trying to say. But if you look into the zip file, let's open the source file. Open as source code. Okay. And now it's harder to see. But where's the label? Can you guys still see the label? Yeah, it's now nested. It's on line 19, right? Where? Yes. But so line 19 is where the view code is, right? The object. And now you've noticed something interesting. Under files owner here, it adds more variables for you. So here you see that, oh, it hasn't updated this. It's still called iLabel. And this is why sometimes also when you merge, view files, and if some of you rename it, but if your Git merges but forget to rename it, you may get into this problem. But you can easily see it now. So this name, that's why the XML file has not been updated. That's why Xcode is not smart enough to change it for you. Right? So to recap, what we know is we now know what to look for. The connections are where the outlet are. And we also know the objects are where our view elements are. And sometimes it's actually really easy to see. If you do, the property here is the same property as from the Swift code. Like you can do, if you have a label, right? You can do .content mode, .user interaction enable, all of that property. A lot of them are the same in Xcode, in Swift. Okay, so any question about that one? That's the outlet. Okay, let's do the transition. Actually, before we do that, let's take a break. It's 8, so we still have time. Take a 5-minute break. We're on schedule.